Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are episode 14?
Yeah, maybe.
Somewhere around there. 13 or 14. Well, this is going to look bad. We're going to have to check that when we get back. These are podcasts for entertaining and sometimes relevant conversations with contractors. I'm Mike. This is Brian.
How's it going?
With us today, we got Angie Simon of Western Allied Mechanical, CEO, and also National President of SMACNA. Is that right, Angie? Did I get all that right?
That is correct. SMACNA,
Perfect.
Sheet Metal Contractors Association.
Yeah, a lot of hats over there.
Yep, I do. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no worries. So tell us a little bit, about where you're at now, how you got to where you're at, where you started, all the good stuff.
Well, Western Allied Mechanical, we are a decent sized mechanical contractor in the Bay Area. So we design and install HVAC systems for mostly commercial buildings. Lots of colleges, lots of biotech is our specialty. We did about 106 million last year, so that was our biggest year ever.
She says we're a somewhat large at 106 million. I'd say that's pretty large and successful. Good work.
Thank you. Well, we have actually grown. I have been at Western Allied for 33 years. First, it was my second job out of college, and just kind of grew up in the company as a project manager. So going back further than that, though, initially loved math and science in high school, but also loved sports, and so was interested in all kinds of different topics for college. And my dad convinced me to, he said, "Where do you want to go to school?" And I wanted to go play softball at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I played softball in high school and actually did all sports, but that at that school I knew I could play softball. And so he said, "Read the catalog and figure out what you want to do." And at the time, the energy crisis had hit when I was in high school, where we were waiting in line at gas stations. And so at that point I thought, gosh, energy would be really cool. And they had at Cal Poly an HVAC solar option. And I thought, God, solar, that's awesome.
Yeah, especially back then, right?
Yeah, it was great. But yeah. I also thought that I could be a forest ranger. And I also thought PE sounded pretty good too. So I think my dad convinced me to try the engineering first and then go from there. And actually, I did that and really enjoyed what I was doing. So I ended up graduating with a mechanical engineering degree with an emphasis in HVAC and solar. Ended up working for a small contractor for a year, and then went to Western Allied, who was a slightly bigger contractor. The first contractor was 7. There was 7 people in the total in the company, so it was great, but nobody really to learn from. So then I moved to Western Allied. We were a slightly bigger company at the time. So project manager, kind of grew up with the company, became a partner, and in 2008 I took over as president right when the recession hit. So got a good experience right off the bat about how to manage a company and ask people to stay home.
Too.
We did. You know what? We were about 30 million at that time, and since 2008 we've grown to 100 million and been super successful, and have an amazing company and a lot of young partners that are coming up underneath me that are going to be just doing great. So it is a good company. It's been a wonderful experience for us. We are design build, like I said. So we actually design our own. We work with the architects and the design team to design the mechanical systems. And right now, before the COVID, in the booming economy, we were 99% design build. Right now, we're not really doing a whole lot of work until everything kicks off again. But
right.
So it's been an exciting ride. A year ago, November, I would say, I transitioned the presidency to my partner, Zach, and I became our CEO, which we never had a CEO before. Mostly because at this point, I'm getting closer to retirement. I wanted him to wear that president's hat for a while and feel like great timing, too, for that. I gave him presidency and we went into COVID-19. So.
Just like you.
Yeah, it'd be good for him. I'm still around. Yeah, I'm helping him a little bit. So. But yeah, so it was an unusual thing for when I started at Western. Actually, when I was in college, there was very few women. There was 150 people in my major, and there was 2 women.
Wow.
Which is, when I would miss classes to go to a softball, to travel, to go away for the weekend on an NCAA softball, the teachers were really having a hard time with that. You're a woman and you're going to go away on sports and miss class. But then at Western Allied, I just was one of the team, and there wasn't too many women there, but I just, part of the team, and I learned from my guys, realized really quick that I may be an engineer, but my sheet metal and my pipe fitters, they had been doing this for a long, long time. And they knew exactly what they were doing. So I actually went to them and said, teach me what you do. Teach me. You guys know construction. I know engineering, but if I want to be a good project manager, I need to understand what you guys do. So I think from the very beginning, teamwork was really part of my whole motto, and learned a lot from my field. And we're a union contractor and have amazing sheet metal and pipe fitters. And we just retired one guy who was there. I've been there 33 years now. He just retired. He had retired and he'd been with us in the field, started as an apprentice, actually a pre-apprentice, and had been there 36 years and never worked anywhere else. So it's pretty cool. I mean, we have some great people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys, is any of the solar education that you got into? Are you guys dabbling in any of that, or?
We are dabbling in that, only in that we're not, mostly that's done by the electrical contractors.
Right.
But I will say that we are a very green designer. We have always been on the cutting edge of being green and literally doing a lot of net zero buildings, which require a lot of solar. So we interact with solar, but we definitely, we want to bleed every little bit of energy out of a building. I mean, it's kind of cool this now because 15 years ago, when I was trying to recruit kids from college, from mechanical engineers, let's say, to come over to Western Allied, mechanical engineers wanted to do mechatronics, like robotics. That was more cool. Or they wanted to do engines and pistons, which they've always wanted to do. HVAC didn't sound very exciting to them. But, with global warming and the fact that that the HVAC systems in a building, so buildings use about 65% of the energy worldwide. And the HVAC system in a building uses close to 50% of that energy. So if we design great systems, energy efficient, and make them really, really efficient, then we can make a difference in the future of the world, and we can help with global warming. So it's really exciting now because it's really easy to recruit college kids because, we basically, with global warming and being a designer of very efficient buildings, they really, really want to come work for us, which is great. So
is that how you're finding most of your staff there is recruiting out of college?
Well, we do. We have a great internship program for colleges, with particularly Cal Poly. We're probably heavy on that, which is in San Luis Obispo. They have a great HVAC program, and a lot of us are alums. But there's also San Jose State, Stanford. There are Santa Clara. We've got a number of others, Berkeley. But we do have a great internship program. So every summer we probably have 7 or 8 interns, and actually, all of our last hires have all been interns. I mean, even Zach Rusi, my president, who just took over, was an intern for me way back when. So all of my young partners were interns at Western Allied during the summer. And so it's a great opportunity to kind of test drive the kids, as well as the kids to test drive the industry and determine whether they like that. And sometimes we'll have interns for 2 or 3 summers in a row. So, yeah.
Are you interning on the project management side, the design side, or in the field, or kind of all the above, or?
Well, all of the above, depending on what age they are. So we have had a number of interns where they would be the summer after freshman year. They really don't know much, right? So I'll throw them in my shop for a summer as an intern in the shop, and I actually threw my son in the shop as well. He's graduating in June from Cal Poly, and I had him work in the shop one summer. Great experience. They have to get up at 6 a.m. They've got to work with the guys in the shop, and it's pretty physical labor, and they learn a lot. But they learn a lot about sheet metal. And then if they want to come back the next summer, we'll put them possibly in design engineering. So we'll throw them in engineering if they've had a little bit of, sometimes they haven't had AutoCAD or Revit, but they've had SolidWorks, which kind of transfers really easily to Revit. And then for the third summer, we might put them in project management. It kind of depends on the person and what they want to do. If they're there for 3 summers. And then if they've been with us for 3 summers, they come out of college and we have them running jobs right away because they've learned so much after 3 summers with us. So that has worked extremely well for us on the office side. And on the field side, we're union, but boy, there is a challenge. I mean, I wear that national SMACNA hat, and workforce development and getting new people into our trades is a big challenge for us. And I am a bit on the side of I'm starting to focus on trying to encourage women to understand that this is a great industry to be in. That's there's 51% of the world is women, and our trades have less than 9% of women in them. I mean, our construction has less than 9% women. Right. Our trades have about 3% women. Wow. So there's a lot of growth if we need more people in our trades. Women are an untapped resource, I think, right now. So,
yeah. So how are you, what are some of the things that you're doing to try and kind of bridge that gap there?
Well, a number of things. On the national SMACNA level, we've got some we've got a new website called Ignite Your Career that's trying to help and do some awesome videos showing them what's going on and what's both on the office and the field side, what happens and how great an industry it is to work in. I love the industry. So I think it's fun and dynamic because you do something new every day, you build new jobs, and nothing's the same. I mean, every job is different and has its own set of challenges and unique opportunities, we'll call it, instead of problems. So we're doing a lot of marketing that way. We're trying to get into the high schools. We're trying to get the counselors to understand that options for kids if they don't want to go to college, that the trades is
four-year degree isn't for everybody.
Right. And it's a trades is a great option. And that fact that you can get it, you can start working right away and you don't have to pay for having to get any debt is a great option. So on the women's side, I've set up a lot of women's leadership groups in the Bay Area locally, but also nationally, trying to basically get women together that are in the construction industry to support them, because some of the challenges on the women's side is I think they're there for a few years and then it's just they don't have the support, so they decide to leave and go to a different industry. So I was a little surprised when we started setting those groups up about how quickly the attendance grew. We've got 90, 100, 120 people attending a meeting, and people really want to support each other. And I think word of mouth for women will help, because another woman tells another woman, and it's probably better than a waitress job. I mean, you're going to make a lot more money, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and like you said, you're in the workforce almost immediately, and
yep,
and because a lot of the training is on the job too, right? I mean, there's not a lot of schooling or things that you need to do. It's get on the job, get your hands on it, and learn.
Right. And the way the unions are in our area, particularly with traffic and everything else, have set it up is if you're in the apprenticeship, you're going to be working the whole time, except for they're going to have 2-week periods, 4 2-week periods during the year that you're going to actually not work for those 2 weeks. And they're going to give you unemployment, but you're going to go do class for those 2. So there's 4 2-week periods. And that's your first year apprenticeship. And after 5 years of apprenticeship, you are done and out and making very good money. I mean, all of our journeyman sheet metal worker or journeyman pipe fitter make well over $100,000.
Oh yeah, for sure,
easily. I mean, a number of my guys with working 40 hours a week and lots of overtime have made $250,000. So they do very well. So it's interesting. Construction is considered. I mean, it has been looked at the past as a dirty job, and our industry's changed a ton. You need to look at the technology changes within our industry. I mean, we design in 3D, in Revit, and we coordinate in 3D. We need people that have computer skills that are interested in that. We go out and we use a lot of robotics to do some of the dirty jobs we used to have. I mean, it's really, you need to use your mind in this industry now. It's not about physical strength anymore. Pretty much there's tooling out there for everybody to be able to use so that you can, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you're going to be able to lift that piece of ductwork because we have, tooling to do that. So it's not the same industry people think about from, 60 years ago. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's key there. Yeah. Like you said, is the technology in the industry is, I mean, just from last year or the year before, not even looking at how it was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, it's right. It's night and day difference, and it's only.
And the good part is construction's always been a kind of slow to change industry, and I really think though that everybody's really getting on board with technology, and we're predicting that from now till 5 years from now, it's going to change more than it has the entire past from the very beginning. So, I mean, the changes in construction is just so rapid.
Well, and I think everything that we're going through right now is only throwing fuel on that fire, right? Yeah. All the things that we're going through right now that people are being forced to have to do with COVID-19 as far as safety and working from home or working remote or whatever, or even, I mean, from job site to office, some communication, where it used to be, it might have been a paper checklist or whatever that was physically turned in. Now we're having to find ways to do them electronically if you weren't already. And I think it's just making it go so much quicker.
For us, it was, there's a couple departments we had within our company that were struggling a little bit trying to go paperless, and we were pushing, like our accounting department was one of them, and a little bit of our purchasing, the invoices and things. And this has driven them to have to do it. Right. And it's awesome because when they come back, we're not going to have an issue with it. And our field has been, we had just jumped on Procore. We have been involved. Our field have had laptops for a long, long time. We have the the gang boxes that are set up like little offices. We have TVs in them. I mean, we do everything with 3D detailing. I mean, we definitely they have everything set up in their little gang box, and they walk it around the job site. We have multiple ones of those on floors, so we can help with looking at it. We also even bought recently a HoloLens on a hard hat, which is a lens that when you put that lens down, now you walk the job site and you can see the ductwork in 3D, even if it's not there yet.
Behind the wall, or just
well, just wherever you're at, you can see conflicts and it's also, we do a lot of productivity tracking, and so we use that HoloLens to help us with the productivity tracking. You walk around, and basically as you're walking, you see that, and if you put it in, then you highlight it. And if you can highlight it very quickly on your Bluebeam or something, and you can say, hey, that portion's been put in. So now we know exactly how many feet of ductwork we put in that day. And it makes it much easier. And we're
cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. There's things that we design in Revit, which is a AutoCAD on steroids, I think. And Revit's super powerful. And we can download a Revit model into Bluebeam, and the Revit model tells us how many pounds of each of the duct runs are, and then they put that information in Bluebeam. Then when we highlight a run, it'll tell us we've installed 100 pounds of ductwork that day, and that's how we track our productivity. And it's pretty incredible. So and my team is super on board. My field guys are super on board with it. It's a little bit of a competition sometimes. They like to challenge each other and see how much they can put in.
Well, and it's fun to, I mean, I say play loosely, but like it's fun to play with that kind of stuff, right? I mean, especially if you're like the guy that you had that was there for 36 years and he saw it how it was 36 years ago.
Yeah.
Got a face shield on that's showing him, holograms of ductwork. He's probably just blown his mind.
He actually really jumped into it. It takes a little bit, but because you're scared of it. But then once he saw it, he said, well, that's really cool.
Right.
And his son actually worked for us for quite a while too. So he was in our trades as well. So, but it is, if you're willing to change, and that's the key, you have to, the gray hairs of us have to be willing to change. And I have learned that every summer when I have interns come in, I learn more from the interns than they learn from me, probably, because those kids come out of college they're in college with the most current technologies, and they teach us a lot about what's going on in college. And so if my motto is, one, you learn something new every day, and you cannot be afraid of change. Mm-hmm. So we definitely are letting, like my next generation of partners, they got together and we asked them to reevaluate our mission statement and our culture. And they came up with our DNA. And our DNA is driven by innovation, grounded in care, and dedicated to teamwork. And I was so thrilled when they came up with those three things, because it really fits, I think, what our company is stresses and works for. So
yeah, and I think that second point, as far as not being afraid of change, is probably the biggest or most important in this industry, just because, I mean, there are so many companies, driven and being led by, I mean, I guess the word they're using now is boomers, right? Or, of that generation within
gray hairs.
Well, that's, I guess that's your word, I guess. I'm not going to be the one to say that, right? But yeah, no, I mean, and they see something come out and it's like, well, we've done it this way forever and why change? Yeah, but I mean, like the technology is it's so fast. You know what I mean? If you don't jump on board in 3 or 4 years, you can't start back 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, let me try that thing I saw 3 years ago. No, that's irrelevant now. Yeah. There's something else new, and it's making everything so much easier, from installing and job bidding even, and tracking your costs and being more efficient on all those aspects.
It's a little bit though. I putting on that SmackNet hat again. In SmackNet, the sheet metal contractors, we have about 1,800 contractors nationwide. The vast majority of the number of contractors, like 80% of the contractors, are a shop that's probably 30 people or less.
Right.
And then there's the bigger ones. I mean, I'd be considered bigger than, I guess, with those guys. So it's very intimidating when you're a small shop to try to figure out how to keep up with all this technology and to understand it and to get involved in it. So I know that as a SmackNet, we've set up a technology committee, and we're constantly working, starting to put out information for contractors to understand what the technology is and what it does, because it can be a little overwhelming, and it's a challenge. But hopefully they can use associations like SmackNet to help.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, especially for, like you said, those smaller ones. Is you probably don't have the the money or the resources or the ability to hire somebody or even a team that sometimes it takes to stay on top of those things. And it's really important for those guys to not be afraid to join an association or look elsewhere or, find some other avenue to stay on top of those resources. Because like you said, it is changing.
And there is a little bit of a learning curve with technology. I mean, even when we started BIM, for example, and detailing, the first probably 6 months, we didn't really see the benefit of it because it was just costing us a lot of money to try to do this. But boy, once you start to really see the benefit and you get good at it, and now it's hard to believe that we would do it without it. We've just spent almost $2 million on equipment for our shop. We bought a laser and a bunch of new equipment that we want to do way more prefabrication in our shop so that when we deliver it to the job, we have things more put together, so it's going to be just-in-time delivery, get things up. Your shop's a safer environment. Prefabrication and modularization are both very big buzzwords in the mechanical industry right now. We're definitely doing a lot of that. And, you're seeing that. I mean, I think people are seeing you could build a hospital room in a warehouse and then just rig it up into place and stick it in, and you can sure build a building much quicker if you have a bunch of prefab modular rooms. So that's the next area to go.
Modular is, like you said, a huge buzzword right now.
Yep,
so
it is.
It's interesting to see that you guys are getting on board. Even in the HVAC world, you guys are getting on board with so much of that prefab where it's just deliver, hang, and go.
Yeah, we you can do a chiller in a box. Basically, you buy we take any boiler skid we have, we build a skid in our shop, have it all, and we rig it onto the roof, and we have like 2 connections, and then we're done with that boiler skid, which is kind of nice. Ductwork is a little harder because it is every custom fabricated,
right.
but there's still a lot you can do. No piece of ductwork should ever leave the shop without a fitting on it on one end or the other, because I mean it should have something on it so that it's been prefabbed and pre-cut. So
kind of moving on to and kind of looking at some other aspects of your guys' business outside of obviously the situation that we're in now. And I think we talked to somebody yesterday who called it the human experiment or social experiment we're in right now. What are some of the daily or hurdles that you guys are facing on a common occurrence that and how you guys kind of getting over them?
Well, with construction probably and being, the economy recently, until this COVID-19, was just booming. So trying to figure out how to get to have enough inside help, project management particularly, and even our design department who have been buried, juggling that. But that is the common problem with construction, is so cyclical, that how do you keep a great workforce that you can use and not have to let people go when things slow down, and then when things get busy again, it's just
struggle to hire
struggle to hire. It's a constant challenge. We've been really lucky in that we really work hard on culture at Western Allied. We try to have a great place to work, so we've been really lucky in that we really don't have a lot of turnover in our office folks. I've got, millennials and Gen X's that have been with me for 8 or 10 or 12 years, and that's fairly unusual that right out of college, almost all of them. So we have a lot of our young partners are hitting the 10 and 12 and 14-year levels, and I think that shows it's a decent place to work. So that's a good thing. For us, the challenge is constantly keeping up with technology and trying to make sure we have, I've learned a lot about change. When you want to make a change and embrace new technology, you need a champion. And that's what we've also learned, that we need to allow those younger folks, the ones that will be our next generation of leaders in our companies, to be the ones leading some of that change. Be willing to let our millennials get a bad rap, but I don't think they should. I think they're a good group of folks. You just need to allow them to have some say, allow them to take some ownership of what the changes that you're making within your company, and trust that they're taking you in the right direction. Give them some guidance and let them work. So I think they're a much more inclusive group of folks, and we have a very diverse environment in our office. We're probably about 40% women in the project management, which is very
that's awesome.
Project management design side. But we have a huge mix of minorities, and just happens that way. And I think that's because everybody's super inclusive in our office. It's all about the culture and being a team. So pretty excited about that.
So speak a little bit to that culture, because I mean,
everybody we talk to.
Yeah, literally, which is something to be said, right? Yeah. I mean, I feel like I say this on every one of these episodes.
We do now.
Yeah. But we could almost change this to like, hey, what's your culture? Because, we're speaking to all these successful companies, and that's literally been the one common theme among all of them is the culture that they're driving to maintain, not only the loyal workforce, but just productivity and right. Profitability.
Yeah.
So what are some things you guys do in that aspect to kind of drive
to foster that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is all about your people. I mean, what makes, we're a mechanical contractor. Yes, we have some good tools, but what makes us good is our people. And that's all the way down to our field level. I mean, it's not hard for me to sell work when we do quality work on the job site. So again, if you have the right people in place and you have good people, so then the thing is take care of those people. Do what you can to be, you don't need to, we definitely work hard in the office. We have some nice perks. We have chair massage comes in twice a month, and then we help offset that. We have yoga twice a month. We have a trainer come in every week, twice a week, I think it is. And we have a gym in our office. So we have some perks, which is great. We have a wellness room that people can use, and but we have people that are very motivated to work as well. It has been a little hard with us being isolated and working from home because we are a social group and everybody seems to enjoy each other. We have a happy hour set up for Thursday on a Zoom happy hour.
Happy hour. Yeah, those seem to be pretty popular lately.
Yeah, I think I'm drinking more than I used to.
I don't think you're alone
because I think every organization. Yeah, I don't think so either. But I think focusing on your people is one of the key parts of that culture. And not forgetting that it's not just the people in the office, it's the people in the field, and you need to take care of your field people as well. And you don't see them as often, but you can't communicate too much, in my opinion, having all hands meetings and letting them know what's going on with the company, communicating the future of where it's going, because this is their company as well, and they want to understand that, like, as I start to transition out and retire out eventually, they want to know that there's a strong management below me that is there to help take over the company. And they've seen that with us. So I think that's part of how you work on culture.
Yeah, I think transparency is a big one of them, is a big piece of that.
What was so where did that process start? When, was it always in place in terms of having some of those perks and that social group of people that were already driven already? Or was there a plan that was put in place to put that into action?
We've always had a good culture, but I think in the last 10 years, we've really focused a lot more on culture. I mean, that things like our yoga and our massage and our gym, when we remodeled, we added the gym. I mean, those kind of things have started over the last 10 years. And I think part of it is, I think we started listening to the young millennials that came in and we started listening to them and accepting they wanted some management roles, and we started accepting that. But it's very important to them about the culture of the people, and I think we were willing to make that change. Because I think if you look back from when I first started in the first 20 years I was there, I'm a baby boomer. That baby boomers, that wasn't as critical for them. Baby boomers, It was just a different generation. So I think we always have to be willing to adapt. And I think working remotely is something now that after doing this as well, we're going to be even more flexible in that in the future. And we want to be able to have people social and come in, but we also understand that the commute's a problem and if they can be effective at home as well. We had already been working remotely with some people. We had an estimator that he is a project manager, and he and his wife wanted to move to Sacramento, and he took a job in Sacramento. We were sad to lose him, but we didn't think he could be a project manager and be remote. He wasn't happy with his job in Sacramento and asked us, and we were looking for an estimator. We thought, you can do estimating remotely. So he comes in, twice a month, and he had already been working remote, and we realized that we could do that with more people as long as we keep the culture. Right. They come in and they socialize once in a while. So I think we just need to look at each generation and understand and work with them. And for us, it's really making sure that the company continues. We've been around 65 years now, and I'm probably the third generation of partnership, but the goal is to have this company, we're a group of partners, so to keep it going and going on to the future. And so the next group is my millennials, and they're going to do a great job when they take over.
So going back to like the work from home and being a little bit more open on that, where are you guys, obviously being forced to of late, are you seeing any sort of drop in productivity, or where are you seeing? Well, what are you guys seeing there from a productivity level with everybody working remote because they have to?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I think there is some drop in productivity. I was talking to my engineers, on a group with them. Now they're buried right now. They've got all, and they can work from home just as. I mean, basically they work with the other trades and they're online and they're fine. But those that happen to have kids at home, I think if they were to work from home and the kids were in school, it would be more helpful. I think that's part of the problem.
Right.
And having the right setups, some of us don't have the right setups at home, so we need to work on that. If they're going to work from home, they may want to have better, I don't have 2 monitors right now, and it's killing me. I mean, I was so used to 2 monitors, and my partner at work has 3 monitors, and he's like, I can't do without 3. And I'm like, wow. But
literally, just as a side note, all of our employees here literally just picked up their stuff and took it home.
Yeah.
The same thing. I mean, we knew
2 monitors.
Yeah, knew nobody could work from home without 2 monitors.
We actually told our engineers and our detailers just to pick up their hard drives. I mean, their desktops,
CPUs,
because they're so much more powerful than the laptops. So take those with you and take your monitors home. But yeah, I mean, I think that we will. We have lost productivity some, and the other thing I was noticing too, even for myself. So it's been since March 16th for us. Yeah. So we're going on 4 months or 4 weeks now, 1 month. But the first few weeks I was I've always been super busy on phone calls, but super busy on phone calls and pretty darn productive. But you start to lose a little bit of that productivity after. Well, and maybe because our jobs are shut down.
Right.
So we don't have
right. There's some of that has to be.
Yeah. So, and I did motivate a lot of people. I said, as you start to, as your jobs are getting shut down and you don't have as much work to do, I'm encouraging you to do things like OSHA 30 online. We have Click Safety, and we're training. So we're going to have a very OSHA 30 trained staff. It's very painful to do OSHA 30 online. So it's a sad way to use those 30 hours because it's a slow process.
Right.
But at least they're doing something. They're being productive to a certain degree. We have been doing Procore training, online Bluebeam training. We've been running online classes ourselves. We've been having estimating refresher classes that give people something to do while they're home, which has been great. So, but you can lose a little productivity working at home. But I also noticed that I'm chatting with people on MS Teams at like 9:00 at night.
Yeah.
So I think they're working all different hours too. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you find yourself, hey, email just dings in, and I just walk over and check that real quick, or do a couple things here and there, and I mean, I find myself doing the same thing at home.
Yeah, I know it's interesting. So
yeah, definitely different time.
We were just talking about, how do we bring everybody back and how do we start planning it? Because even when we do open our job sites up, the protocol that we have set up, which is a very detailed protocol about COVID-19, is going to be followed. And even in the office, as we start to bring people back in the office, there's still going to be some social distancing we need to do, and we need to make some changes in our office. We were just discussing putting some arrows in our hallways to have one way, one direction, so that you go this direction through the hallway that way, so we don't pass each other, because some of our hallways are narrow. So it's like you're going to be clockwise all the time around the office. You don't go counterclockwise.
That's smart. I never thought of it. It's kind of like the restaurant, right? You go out the kitchen in one door and in the kitchen the other, so you don't run into each other.
Yeah. Right. So there's an out and in, and you don't hit. So you can spread yourself, but because when you pass somebody, brilliant. It's hard. Yeah. So we have a couple weeks at least, if not maybe more than that for the office, but to start thinking about that. So,
pretty crazy.
Little things. Yeah. Crazy.
I'd like to back up a bit more towards the beginning, where you were talking about, you took over in 2008. You guys were about a $30 million shop at the time, and now you're 106. But, like you had mentioned before, we're in a new crisis, What are the similarities? Obviously, we know the differences in terms of, the economy being shut down essentially, but what are the similarities that you're seeing that you could pass on to Zach as he is, taking on more responsibility?
Yeah, in the middle of this.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was talking to somebody else about that the other day. There was I've been involved and pretty in charge of during the 9/11 crisis, which was a very different crisis as well. And then there was 2008. Now, the difference between 9/11 and now, which both happened like that, right?
Yep.
But we didn't have job sites shut down due to 9/11. I mean, the travel was shut down, but no job sites were. So for us, and we were only a local Bay Area company, it didn't really affect us. 2008, the difference between now and 2008, we're bidding a ton right now. There's still, the developers seem to have, and this is really positive across the nation, because I just had a phone call with our national board with SMACNA, and everybody we talked to, so there's 25 of us on the board, everybody we talked to said they're busy bidding. So I don't think because of low interest rates, but I don't think the owners and the developers are afraid yet. I mean, they're still bidding. The tenants are still looking to move. So we're still putting pricing together. The difference between now and 2008 is, 2008, we hadn't, construction has a tendency to lag recessions a little bit, because you have landed work and you have work, and you have to finish it out. So it continues on through the beginning of a recession. But boy, you felt it really fast in 2008 when it really started slowing down. The bidding stopped, and there was not hardly anything to bid. And when you started to bid it, there was 7, 8, 9, 10 contractors on it, and we still had work at the time. But you could see that there was no work on the 6-month to a year horizon. And so right now, one of the differences I would say I feel right now is it appears to everybody that they all feel this is a temporary situation, and that we're going to get through this, and that we're a little concerned when we do get released, that everybody's going to want their jobs to be done at the same ending date as they.
It's going to be a floodgates of,
yeah, that I'm going to have a hard time figuring out how to get those jobs done. So I think what I feel bad for in this one is the small businesses like the restaurants and the retail, where I don't know how some of them are going to come back from this.
Yeah.
But in regards to construction, I think, the government did a good job with that stimulus program. We applied for the payroll protection program. Yep. And if as a small, and we were on the phone with all of our small SMACNA contractors, telling them apply for that. It's going to help you.
Yeah.
Two of my peer group members just said they got their money yesterday. So the money's starting to come out.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
So we're starting to see the money. So that's going to help us and all of the contractors. Because what's happening is we don't have as much of a problem with cash right this second. But when we start ramping up again, and we're going to have a problem with cash, because payables are going to be
payroll. Yeah.
And companies aren't going to pay us as fast. So we're going to have that cash crunch, I'm afraid. So that extra cash is going to help us a lot. So I hope that works for the construction industry. I think we're in probably okay shape with that. We really need one of our biotech companies to come up with a vaccine, so we don't have to deal with it.
Well, I think going back to some of the differences, I think the big difference, in my opinion, the two big differences are, one, technology, right? Because I think even if we go into some sort of recession, because things move so quickly now with all the technology we have on multiple ends, from financial and in the business world and everything else, I think we're going to hopefully, knock on wood, come out of it a lot quicker. So I think that's, a that mindset of, hey, even if something does happen, we're still going to be bidding work and starting jobs, because we'll be out of it. But also it's that temporary feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. This is going to be over at some point. How far away that light is a little unknown right now, but I think that's, part of why, from a construction standpoint, things are staying pretty busy.
I also think one of the things I'm involved in is a foundation called the New Horizons Foundation, and we do future studies, and we interview people, and we've done this now, started back in 2007, I think, and we've done them every 4 years. We do a future study, and it's interesting because it looks like 5 years ahead. It projects what's going to happen with our industry 5 years ahead, particularly the mechanical, the HVAC. And
I would imagine that got all jacked up a few months ago, huh?
Well, yeah. However, what the future study has predicted, the last 2 future studies, is that the contractor, the small contractor, the middle to small size contractor is going to struggle. They're either going to get bought, and people are going to continue to get bigger, or they're going to have to go to a specialty, like a trade, like a balance, like in our industry, going to be an air balancer, for example, instead of trying to be a small sheet metal contractor.
Right.
Actually, just do specialty work. And I think this COVID's not going to help that. It's going to kind of encourage that. So the small contractor who is going to struggle more through this, and the larger contractor is going to get through it. We have the technology, that we're the ones embracing technology more. So I have seen a lot of contractors bigger than me acquiring a lot of companies right now. And so this may drive more of that as well, because I think if you're small, you're either going to specialize and maybe you'll be okay, or you're just going to go ahead and merge with somebody else and become bigger, because to embrace that technology and to use the technology effectively, you do have to be a little bit larger and have the dollars. So
yeah,
I think we may see a little more of that coming out of this COVID-19 thing.
Well, hopefully there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and like I said, knock on wood, luckily everybody's staying busy right now. So
yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I hope so too. I really do. I do think we have a service division too, so we have about half of our service techs are working, and that's helpful because they're pretty essential.
Yeah,
and we have 2 to 4 job sites working. Normally we would have 30 or 40 job sites working.
Wow.
But we're getting close. We're essential. Making ductwork in the shop is essential for some of those job sites. Well, maybe there's some duct being made for non-essential that'll be ready for hit the job when we get released too. So that's a good thing. Yeah. So.
Well, you kind of teased us with some stories before we got on here. So I think before we let you go, we got to hear. Well,
you asked about like a fun story.
Yeah.
This is not a Western Allied story, but it's an Angie Simon story. So, well, when I first met my husband, I was actually playing on a women's basketball team, just in the city in San Francisco, and my coach was a friend of my husband's at the time, and he had asked my husband to borrow this gym that my husband had pickup in. So I stayed. We practiced in that gym, and then my husband, I didn't know him at the time. He said, "Any ladies want to play basketball? Pick up, stay." And I stayed and played. So he came and watched our game, and we kind of went from there. But our honeymoon we spent at the Giants fantasy camp. So it was me and 90 guys playing baseball for a week on my honeymoon.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I thought that's always a unique story because I don't think there's too many women that spend their honeymoon playing baseball in Arizona.
Where was that at?
It was in
Arizona.
In Scottsdale. Yeah. Yep.
Have you been to the stadium out there that they built a few years ago?
Well, I've been married. This is yesterday was my 29th anniversary. So
congratulations! Happy anniversary.
Thank you. But so 29 years ago, we have been to fantasy camp since about 9 times over the course of the last 30 years. So we're thinking of trying to go next year with my 24-year-old son and my husband and I. So that might.
That stadium they have out there right in the middle of downtown Scottsdale is beautiful.
Beautiful, right?
It's crazy. Crazy how big and popular spring training has gone. I mean, I go all the time, and 10, 15 years ago, you could get into multiple games for $5, $6, $8, and now that Giants stadium. Last time I was there a couple of years ago, the tickets were $100.
Yeah, I know.
For a spring training game.
I know, it's amazing. It is a little crazy. We have played at that stadium. That our honeymoon was not at that stadium because it was not built yet.
Right.
But we have since then, the fantasy camps we've gone to, we played at that stadium, and it's a lot of fun. So, and actually, the last time I went to fantasy camp, there was 8 women there. So out of the 100 people. So I've actually had locker room mates a few times now.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're still out there tering it around, and
yeah. Well, you know what? We play in a league. My husband and I play in a baseball league. So
like hardball.
Like hardball. It's me and another lady, and there's 6 teams. So there's mostly guys, and we play ball around. I catch. I'm a catcher.
That's
love
awesome.
to catch. So
I was a catcher and a third baseman all the way through, but I play slow pitch softball now. We drink beer and play slow pitch. I tried to play hardball a few years ago. The problem is, and I'm sure they do them like by age groups, and I think I was at the oldest part of the age group, and there were like some younger guys in there, and I'm not.
I'm good.
I don't need to see 85-mile-an-hour fastball anymore. Like it's just not. Yeah. It's not in the cards for me.
We have a batting cage in our backyard, and in the course of with an iron mic pitching machine, and I definitely seen I fouled the ball off my own nose once and broke my nose.
Nice.
And I broke my arm playing third base. Took a bad hop off my wrist. That was funny. I had just had my first son, and he was 3 months old. I came back to play, and I broke my wrist. So my husband had to learn to change diapers really fast. So I now have 2 boys. One's just graduated with his master's in sports journalism. So, boy, that's a tough job right now.
Right, yeah.
And the other one's graduating in June, or not really with the graduation, but he's going to be getting out in June.
Right,
and actually going to work for Western Allied. So
all right.
So he's going to continue in the business. So,
do you guys get to many Giants games now? Do you guys?
We have season tickets, and my husband bleeds orange. So he retired a year and a half ago. So he's been going to a lot of games until this year. So
Well, we're Angel fans, so we're allowed to be friends. We're not Dodger fans. So.
Oh, you're not? Okay, good, because I like the Angels a lot better than the Dodgers.
Even though they beat you in the World Series last time. But
well, that one hurt.
Yeah.
That damn monkey, that damn monkey. Those hurt. But you know what? Then we got three World Series.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah,
we're okay.
Was it
we've been
10,
pretty darn
10 12,
lucky.
and 14? Is that
Yep,
right?
10, 12, and 14.
Even years, yeah.
My kids at the time, 95 and 98 when my two boys were born, right? So they think this is normal. They had Barry Bonds when they were really young, hitting all those home runs, and then we get 3 World Series and 3 championships. So they were pretty spoiled.
Yeah.
So. But we're also Niner fans and have some Niner season tickets, and we had a better year than we expected this year too. So
yeah. My brother's a huge Niner fan. He was not easy to talk to on a Super Bowl Sunday in the second half.
Yeah. Well, I think part of being in construction, construction is so much a team. It really, when I say team sport, but it's really a team job. And I think that's really what's helped us as a company to realize that it really takes more than just one person. It takes an entire team. And so when I say I don't have to work very hard to sell my work, because my team does such a great job that they sell the work for us. So it ties into sports a lot that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's something to be said for having that background, and then obviously being where you're at now in the company and that mentality. Yeah, obviously. So
I'm just a tad bit competitive. Yes.
I feel like you have to be playing hardball.
Yeah. And I can.
That's not something you can do leisurely.
No, that's true. You do need to work
softball. I can have a cooler of beer in the dugout and go out there and take my swing and then maybe take a couple ground balls and be okay. But hardball, you got to be on your game.
Yeah. And I don't want to be catching and having drinks before I catch.
Right. No.
Yeah. I definitely drink after I catch. But we have about 4 tournaments a year we play, and one of them is always in August in Lodi, which is of course very warm.
Yeah.
But it's sort of a lot of fun because you're just going there to play ball, and that's what you do together, and it's a lot of fun. And we're definitely getting older, and it's getting harder, but it's still the great camaraderie. And I can hardly walk after a weekend like that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But, it's still fun. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so I thought that would be a good.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. That was. We love baseball, so that's.
Yeah, we do.
It's good that that's cool.
We're a little sad right now. So.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It'll come back though. It'll find a way.
It will.
Like you said, get that testing out and vaccines somewhere.
Yeah. I will say when we have these Zoom meetings, it's really hard not being able to talk about sports because that's what we talk about a lot. So it's always a conversation piece anyhow to be able to talk about sports. So now, and then you don't want to really talk about kids either because people are ready to kill their kids right now. So you talk about the dogs.
Right.
Right. Talk about dogs.
The dogs are the happiest ones right now. They're not all locked up during the day.
Yeah, their owners are around all the time. Either that or they're like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
My poor golden retriever, and he's only 3. He gets walked 7 or 8 times a day. He sleeps happy. Really well at night.
Oh, yeah.
I have a 10-month-old lab that was in a crate for 6 hours a day. We'd come home at lunch or whatever in between to kind of help her out. But yeah, she's loving life now. Yeah. Walked a few times a day and out of the crate all day. And she's loving it.
Loving it. So
cool. We will let you run. Yeah. We'll let you get back to it.
Why don't we let her let the people know where they can find you
where
first?
Where can we find you and get you
well, let me also say that, like I said, I'm national president of SmackDown, but I also run a podcast for National SmackDown. Yeah. So it's called Let's Talk Shop, and it's a contractor to contractor. So if you Google, or not Google, but go to podcasts and look at Let's Talk Shop, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's just talking about different things. Some of it's construction, some of it's peer group, some of it's COVID-19. So it's a lot of fun.
Especially now.
And I'm Western Alley Mechanical, the Bay Area. So I'm there, and if they look me up, and you can find my information, LinkedIn, I'm on that as well. So
perfect. Well, we appreciate it, Angie. It was our pleasure to absolutely sit down and break the monotony of hanging out at home all day. So we appreciate the time.
Good. Well, I appreciate you finding me and then asking me to do this. I enjoy these a lot.
We're always looking for fun people to talk to. So thanks so much.
Okay. All right, you guys.
Yeah. Appreciate have a good one. We will we'll keep in touch.
Okay.
Thanks,
take care.
Angie. Yep.
All right.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Angie.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.